Elevating your boat out of the water has some clear advantages. You can keep the wear and tear down while making sure you're not accumulating too much of that slime and gunk on the bottom. But boat lifts can be really expensive. Well, now Dock Edge has introduced 2 new boat ramp kits that a couple of people can build in the backyard in a few hours. One is a 1,200-pound kit, and today we're going to build the bigger, heavier 2,000-pound kit and show you just how easy they are to put together. And the great thing is all you have to source outside the kit is the lumber, and that's pretty easy. It's 2 16-foot 2x8s, 2 8-foot 2x6s, and 1 10-foot 2x4. That is all the lumber you need to build this ramp. First, you need to determine the ramp width by taking a measurement of the location of the ideal position of the wheels under the hull. This will be your cross strut's dimension. Remember, for V-shaped hulls, the greater the distance between the wheels, the lower the boat will be. To make sure your pipes are straight, position the end of a 2x8 beam on the shore where the ramp will be installed. Position the other end of the beam 2 inches under the surface of the water. Using a long level maintained straight, mark a cutting line. Mark the other end of the 2x8 at 25 degrees for the winch installation, and transfer these marks to the other beam and cut both beams. Okay, now cutting 16-foot 2x8s can be tricky because they're expensive, so you don't want to get it wrong. And when you look at the instructions, you're going to have 2 cuts, one at the water end to get the post level with the water, and it's truly based on how shallow the angle of your shoreline is. So that's why you're in the water measuring those. The other end is cut at 25 degrees. We've determined our center to center from our boat measurement. Our V-hull measurement is 30 inches, so we're going to cut 4 of these 2x6s at 28.5. So on the lake side where the poles are, where the keel roller is, you got a little 45-degree notch, but where do you put it? So stick a 2x6 on the end to know where to start. And this is just to take the edge off in case the fiberglass gets close to the wood, and the roller will keep it off. And this is to make sure there's no scratches happening. So now we're going to start to assemble the wood with cross braces. In a 2,000-pound setup, you only need 3 cross braces. If you want to go 2,500 pounds, you could add a 4th cross brace. We're going to use 3, and the diagram gives us measurements at 48 inches, 96 inches, and 144 inches. We're going to add a cross brace. So first we're going to measure, and we're going to measure off the top. Now, while Dock Edge provides these really strong metal kits to bolt everything together, they also provide a bunch of deck screws to pre-assemble the whole thing before you bolt it together, because these require drilling holes and we don't want too many holes in the wrong spot. So we're going to kind of pre-assemble it first with some deck screws. Now, when you're pre-assembling with the screws, make sure to put them in just far enough that the head touches the wood. Don't drive them in like a countersunk, because at that length they won't interfere with your carriage bolts. Now, the instructions say for the winch you can use 2 2x4s or a 4x4, but the 2,000-pound winch is actually a little bit wider than a 4x4. So what we've decided to do is add 3 2x4s, put 1 in the middle. And now we have plenty of meat to mount our massive 2,000-pound winch to. We didn't need to buy any more 2x4s, we're just using an off-cut piece in the middle. Now, all of these angles can change a bit, including the whole length, depending on how big a boat. PWCs are only about 10 feet in length. Most tin tippies are 12 to 14 feet, and this bow rider is about 16 feet long, so we're gonna use the whole platform for it. But because we're gonna put a 1,800-pound bow rider on here, we really wanna reinforce this winch piece. And we can put the winch high or low, but again, the lower the better, really, for effort, as long as you've got room to swing the handle. And sometimes I like mounting the winch after I put the boat on, just to see where it lines up, how high the rung on the boat is. But you could move this later if it's too high or low. Now, the kit does come with 6 inside corner joists, metal ones, where you can bolt metal to metal. And they're meant for the middle and either end. But this piece here needs 1 block on each side just to prevent the winch from kind of pushing that piece of wood out. You wouldn't want to just trust the screws. So we just cut a couple of 7-inch 2x4 blocks, just some scrap pieces, and screwed them on the side. Now we're going to install all the corner joist blocks. For strength, Dock Edge includes 6 of these inside corner joists, and each of them has 2 backing plates, which means you can have metal on metal for both sides of the corners. Now there's 6, 2 for the front, 2 for the middle, and 2 for the end. Now, the little pro trick here is when you're going to drill them, you want to mark the corner first. They don't exactly line up with the plates. Okay, so first you put the corner in, Mark the centers for drilling, then drill the corners, then add the plates. Let's give her. And drill out the marked holes with a 7/16 drill bit. A little pro tip with these spade drill bits, if you just drill right through, they make kind of a mess on the other side. Watch. The temptation is just to go right through, but you can see the mess it makes. But there is a better way. So, drill until the tip gets through the other side. Take it out and come from the other side. It gives you a little pilot hole. Much cleaner. Note the hardware locations according to the image at the bottom of the instruction sheet. Install the hardware components with the 3/8 by 2.5-inch bolt, nut, and lock washer combination. We're going to put on the last piece of the back is the transom roller. But it's once you assemble it, it's a little loosey-goosey. So what we're going to do is, we've got center marked on the board. We're just going to put it up. We've marked a couple of holes where we want the slot to go. We've drilled 2 pilot holes for 1 plate. Now we're going to mount one side, and hopefully we can just swing this side out of the way. It's kind of tricky. Assemble the wheels as shown in the instructions with the flat washers and the pins. Add the base to the wheel assembly. Position the axle on the base so that there is a lean to the center of the ramp. Position the wheels according to the distances proposed in the instructions. A ramp with 3 pairs of wheels will support a 2,000-pound boat, while 4 pairs can support up to 2,500 pounds. Secure the wheel bases to the structure. Install the winch using the 3/8 by 4.5-inch bolt, nut, lock, and flat washer combination. Slide the pipes into the leg holders and tighten temporarily with one of the leg holder hex bolts. Now move the ramp to its intended location. Now these guide poles at the end are kind of cool because they're adjustable up and down. So if the bottom is soft, you can pound them down to the bottom and give this real stability. Or if you want to have them, use them as guides for a tin boat, you can just leave them up high and the tin boat will guide itself on. If your bottom's really mucky and you want to add feet, these feet come in the kit and they will give you some stability on the bottom. But this bottom's pretty hard, so we're not going to use them at all. Now the great thing about these poles is it is height adjustable. So if the water's a bit deep, like it is here, we can raise it up on the poles. So Anthony's going to do the heavy lifting. And you want the wood here about 2 inches underwater. And of course you can adjust this to any height you want depending on how deep a V your boat has. And we can see here that the keel wheel is just touching the surface of the water. And that'll make sure the transom of the boat is completely out of the water. So let's try the tin tippy first and see how it goes. Now it's important to remember, don't drive the boat on the ramp. You don't want it inside the cottage. And you'll notice these wheels, they'll self-align to the bottom of your boat. Now if it gets too heavy, that's what the winch is for. But you can see already how easy it is to load a boat. So now this tin tippy is completely protected from anybody with a big surf boat chucking 3-footers at the dock. And that is an 800-pound wave runner on the same lift with the same spec as the tin tippy. Now of course, if you're going to build this just for the wave runner, you would probably shorten the legs from 16 to 12 feet. You might not even need 4 wheels, and you probably move it so that the single P protecting the bumper was underneath the wave runner. And what I really like is, since the rear legs are adjustable, you can decide how high out of the water you want to have your watercraft. People are buying bigger and bigger surf boats and throwing larger and larger wash and waves at people's docks. This is one amazing way just to get those vehicles out of the water and away from those crashy waves. Now we're going to try an even heavier bow rider. And there you go, you have about a 1,800-pound bow rider completely out of the water. So no longer do we have to shake our fists at those wakeboarders going by every day. We can just let our boat sit here and not worry about it. I mean, think about all the wear and tear on the boat. That's just amazing. And even if your lake is calm and there aren't any wakeboard boats on the lake, having your boat out of the water, as we said earlier, has some great benefits. And one of them is just keeping the hull clean. So when the boat's in the water, this is what you get. But once it's out of the water, you'll never get that scum line again. So many benefits just to getting your boat out of the water, and now you can do it for a lot less than a boat lift. Pretty much any boat of any size up to 2,000 pounds, you can use this inexpensive DIY ramp from Dock Edge. So anywhere from a tin tippy to a personal watercraft or even a 2,000 pound bow rider, you have your boat completely out of the water for a fraction of the cost of a boat lift. Pretty cool idea.